The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, has forcefully arrested Senator Rochas Okorocha after more than 8 hours standoff between operatives of the commission and his supporters at his Abuja residence. The anti-graft agency had invaded the residence of the former Imo State Governor and All Progressives Congress APC presidential aspirant in a bid to effect a court summons, but met some resistance. While Arise correspondent Ferdinand Roha has been covering it.
Gunshots, tear gas and pandemonium at the Maitama home of Senator Rochas Okorocha as the supporters of the APC presidential aspirant are dispatched from his residence. The EFCC say it is effecting a summon as the 7th senator has jumped an administrative bail. They had been prevented for over 8 hours from achieving this target by the former governor who had resisted and his supporters who had questioned the motive. He claims it is a political ploy to prevent him from attending the APC presidential screening set to happen this week.
Since morning I've not been able to go out, and there are policemen and EFCC all over my compound, and my gate is blocked with their car, and all I'm asking for now is that could they please allow me to go for my screening. I have screening going on right now with all the presidential aspirants. My election comes up on Sunday. And if I'm not allowed to go for this screening, I might miss it.
Rochas' lawyer disagrees.
Should be given time to report. Either later this week or early next week or any time other than the day of the screening of these presidential aspirants on the platform of APC, in respect of which the distinguished senator is a most prominent person who is to be screened for the office of presidency of Nigeria.
While the standoff ensued, the residence was besieged by various support groups, including women who came to show solidarity. On the part of the EFCC, this was a signal to reinforce, with officers visibly strategically positioned around his complex to prevent the senator from escaping. As the evening drew closer, the EFCC attempted to disperse the crowd once again so they could effect the arrest, an instruction the crowd blatantly refused. This officer also asked the waiting media to leave, an instruction which was also not honored.
This is time for you guys to go outside. No, you can't. No. All right. You can't determine that.
Then came the menace as the officials tear gassed the crowd and shot sporadically, assaulting anyone in sight. The commission finally had its way at about 6:45 p.m., breaking into his living room and forcefully arresting him. The media returns to see the chaos which is left behind: broken doors, damaged roofings, furnitures, perforated walls, and several other damages, which tell horrifying tales of what would have happened. And so the over 8 hours waiting game comes to an end. Nigerians asking what exactly is the motive behind this arrest. Is it all about stopping the man Rochas Okorocha, a presidential aspirant of the All Progressive Congress, from indeed participating in the screening? Or, as the EFCC says, it is time to hold him accountable for whatever offences he has committed? Ferdinand Roha reporting for Arise News.
Well, for more on this, the Arise News analyst Dr. Sam Amadi joins us now in the studio. Dr. Sam, I wonder what you make of this. It's difficult to tell if this was a raid, an invasion, or an arrest.
I think this is a very depressing show of shame. A top politician in this country, a former governor, twice a governor, a senator, and whether leading or probable or a possible presidential candidate of a ruling party, and the Nigerian main anti-graft commission engaged in 8 hours of basically stupidity, in my view. First, it's even so bad that the orders of EFCC, the operators, nobody will listen to them, including the journalists where they didn't despise their view. So for me, this is wanton lack of process. First, every person, not talking less of a politician or a leader, should be persons who respect instruction of the court, respect public officers when they descend their duty. So the notion that people resist official legal authorized persons who allegedly are executing court process or court summon is one that shows the depth of lack of due process. This is a country of impunity. A second is, look, our the criminal justice system and these procedures smack of kind of primitivity. Look, there's no, all over the world, the accused person, Rochas has been arrested and granted administrative bail, will work out convenient structure for their trial with the court and the prosecutor. That's nothing. Prosecution is not about, it's not gangsterism. It's not just saying we haul you, we punish you, we disgrace you. It's a procedure to produce public good, which is justice. So nothing wrong knowing that Rochas Okorocha is undertaking a campaign. The court itself could have joined maybe 2-3 weeks after the campaign. And then first, he could issue a letter, assuming he's an outlaw, run away from justice, issue a letter, public address notice. Then he was there yesterday, I think, and he has been moving on all the media houses.
Right here.
You could arrest him. I mean, let's assume that Rochas has proved so difficult, so resistant, so foolishly disobedient to court procedure. He could be arrested in all of those ways. The notion of invading the home, stand off for 8 hours, and then breaking into the roof, into the house, there's no court order that would authorize you to engage in what could be unconstitutional behavior in the quest to basically arrest a candidate. By the way, you can actually arraign him and ask him to come to court, and then he walks in, probably get a bail, which he should get, and then get back to business. So we too much ritualize this simple criminal process. They look like as if we're entering into a Ukraine-Russian war.
And as far as Rochas Okorocha is concerned, Senator Rochas Okorocha, this has political undertones. As far as he's concerned, it's an attempt to stop him from attending the screening for presidential primary that's coming up, of course, this weekend. I think it won't begrudge him if you look at the timing. I mean, look at, even when the case came up, the argument was that it was part of his political opponents. This guy has been out of power for long. This case has been on. And so what my point is, look, even if Efcc didn't think politically, nothing would have been lost if they waited the next 2-3. He's not leaving the country, you can track him. So this notion of stampeding, nobody can escape this country without the Nigerian security knowing where you're living, if they want to put a trail on you. So you need to run criminal justice in a civilized but effective. The result is to make sure nobody escapes justice. Right. It's not just to look gangsterish and then people win you in court and most people escape. So my notion, and the EFCC has been criticized in the past for bungling cases after dramatic and all of that.
But is the EFCC time that we are seeing this Gestapo style of arrest by security agents? One that already comes to mind is Sunday Igboho, the Yoruba activist,
of course,
by the DSS, and Nnamdi Kanu, and then now the EFCC. So it looks like there's a fundamental problem with the security agents in general. Absolutely. Would you agree? I totally agree, and it comes to the DNA of law enforcement. I have argued, when we do law reform for the national security system, that the DNA of colonial policing was a DNA of repression, was a DNA of regime protection, not of protected citizens. So that notion that this citizen who is accused of anything is an enemy to be vanquished is carried into normal law enforcement. So the psychology of a police coming to you and say, hello sister, we want to take you into custody, can you come with us? Is one that's strange. The normal thing would be, come there, stop there, follow us and drag you up. So I think there's need to civilize this notion. And by the way, it's not effective. They're not either winning the cases, they're not either getting the criminals, off the street. They're basically failing in the very fundamentals of effectiveness. But they are basically violating rights. Is the EFCC, I mean, the EFCC is in court with Rochas Okorocha. Yep. Of course, he did get a court order, from Port Harcourt, staying any prosecution and all of that. In spite of all of that, this has happened. Is the EFCC constitutionally empowered to carry out this kind of arrest? Should it be the EFCC arresting? Should it be the court? Should it be the police? Who? Very good point to raise. Because the EFCC has police officers seconded to them, they often think they are a police force. The EFCC is not a police force. The EFCC is an agency, a civil agency,
executive agency that has administrative regulatory powers, and then because the law allows them to prosecute in the case, and of course the Attorney General can take it back. So you're right, the EFCC should have, by the way, because the post officers, the issue is that they will have to sign off police. So if there's a case to arrest somebody, the EFCC should make that entry to the IG or the police commissioner, and it will be a normal police action. Then EFCC takes custody, maybe go to court. But the critical issue here is this notion that, you know, speed is essence of justice. So if we get bottled in procedure or criminals are escaping, no. You see, we need to just take our time and know that, look, the essence is not just speed. Okay, we got to get this guy and lock him up. The essence is that people don't escape justice. And what we see in this country is that from Boligas killing everyone is that all the way people are escaping justice in spite of the brutality. In fact, partly because of the brutality and the incompetence, that we think that being harsh, brutal is part of effectiveness. No, not look at all over the world. You see trials going on of political officers, of criminals. It takes time. They move around. Even Madoff, Posey, where people lost money, they move around. They come clean, and people, media talks to them. But at the end of the day, they get done in, and that's what we want to see.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sam Amadi. We do hope that this pans out better. Thank you for joining us.